I'd just like to say a couple of words about the importance of a cultural response to this huge challenge that we're facing of climate change. So, as part of this project, collaboration is really central, and we can see it on a number of different levels. The work that the students are doing together, the work between the writers and the students and the schools, but also amongst the partner organizations in different countries. There's so much that we can learn and need to learn from our own experiences in our countries, and sharing these ideas and the knowledge and learning is extremely important. Climate change is very much about the way we see the world and our lifestyle and our values, and therefore we feel that a cultural response, whether that's through writing, through theatre, film, the arts can really communicate in a very different way. They can pose questions, provoke, and we need to not just have the knowledge of science, but also have that emotion through art. Climate change is also affecting countries in different ways, so it's an intercultural challenge, which affects often those worst who have contributed least. So we have a responsibility there, again, to work together closely. And finally, I'd just like to say a word about young people and why it is fantastic to have so many young people engaged in this topic, working together. It is them who often think differently, see things differently, and have a huge inspiration for all of us. But ultimately, it is about everyone. And with that, over to you. Thanks.
I liked it a lot. Took it everywhere with me. Shopping, parties, dinners. Simply everywhere. It was a bag one could be seen with anywhere. It was a bag which knew its own class and value. All black, with boss written in huge golden letters on both sides. A steady bag. Some said it was elegant, as if it was made before the war. But I knew it wasn't true. It was a regular modern plastic bag. It just had this pre-war sophistication. It meant a lot to me. So just imagine what I felt when one day I went to pick my bag from the cloakroom in the National Opera after the marriage of Figaro, and I found out that the bag wasn't there. I asked the staff politely if they knew what could have happened to it. I described the bag with detail. I described its assets. Cloakroom attendant listened to me with attention, but said he knew nothing. I asked to see his manager. I explained the situation again. The cloakroom director wanted to know what was in the bag. I said that it was empty, which was true. You are pestering me about some empty plastic bag? Seriously? Go and get a new one, he said, and gave me 2 zloty. I was so shocked that I meekly accepted the money. But then I felt ashamed, so I quickly gave the money to some harmless person. Luckily, soon after, while taking a walk in the park, I found another very steady plastic bag. Everything you lose becomes lost forever.
Have you ever wondered about in which way your lifestyle is powering the climate change? Or have you ever wondered what actually becomes with the bags that you throw away? More than 1 year ago, the Weather Stations project started. We dealt with the climate change and especially with its consequences. But this does not mean that we've only talked about it. No, we connected the topic of climate change to literature. We worked together with several authors from all around the world, from Great Britain, Ireland, Poland, Australia, China, and Germany, in order to be able to make our very own powerful statement. And today, it is the big day. Today, we want to present you our works, our pieces, and our results of more than 1 year of Weather Stations project.
Die Morgensonne scheint auf ein grünes Laubblatt, das im Wasser treibt. Auf ihm sitzt eine kleine Ameise, die alleine flussabwärts reist.
Die Tage sind grau, sie werden immer heller. Die Sonne blendet, die Wellen, sie brechen. Sie brechen am weißen Strand.
Die Sonne, sie strahlt, glitzernd am Meeresspiegel wie ein Sternenhimmel, scheinen die Sonnenstrahlen und erhellen jedermann. Licht scheint auf das Meer, viele Blautöne entstehen, die Wellen rauschen, Hitze breitet sich schnell aus und Tage werden länger.
Der Geruch von See, schwach, aber dennoch präsent, getragen vom Wind und geschmückt von Gesängen der tierischen Bewohner.
Leise plätschern die Wellen des Meeres ans Küstenrelief. Die Meeresoberfläche glitzert, von der Sonne verzaubert.
Hitze, was nun tun? Der Mund ist total trocken, ein Tropfen Wasser, Wüstensand und viel Hitze, doch kein rettendes Wasser.
Leise und doch laut rauschen die Wellen ans Kliff. Getöse, dennoch spürt man, wie friedlich es ist. Sonne, Sommer an dem Meer. Glitzernde Schönheit im Glanz der späten Sonne, soweit das Auge reicht. Der Ozean liegt ruhig, doch er kann auch ganz anders.
Aufbrausender Wind fegt durch ruhige Räume, ordnet die Welt neu. Und wie finde ich mich dort? Verändert mit neuem Mut.
Spiegelnd im Wasser glitzert und funkelt es nun. Ich werde nasser, die Hitze erdrückend warm. Anfang der Nacht auf der See. Draußen im Garten, Blätter welken im Brunnen. Ich sehe die Sonne in der Ferne untergehen. Die Nacht vollendet den Tag. Sie springt ins Kalte, die Augen geschlossen, zu. Ihre Haare funkeln. Es ist bald dunkel im Nu, denn die Sonne geht unter.
Die Sonne geht auf und der See ist ein Spiegel für sie, die Sonne. Der See sieht die Sonne blau und die Sonne sieht den See gelb.
Sonne als Motor, sie ist das Herz dieser Welt. Das Wasser als Blut, das sie am Leben erhält. Ohne die beiden ist nichts.
What can we do now? We messed up planet Earth, poisoned the oceans, we destroyed our only home. We need to do something now.
In the past few months, we all learned a lot about the climate change and the pollution on land and in the sea, and the effects our ridiculous waste of resources has on our planet. I personally learned a lot of things I didn't know before. For example, the plastic garbage in the Pacific Ocean, which had the size of our entire continent. At that point, I realized how much each and every one of us is actually contributing to this mass profusion.
When we woke up, the sky was blue. We went on the streets and enjoyed the view. No clouds in the sky, but later the day, the once blue sky turned into gray. It was very hot and not at all windy. It was overwhelming. We enjoyed our iced tea. The 5 minutes rain was intensive but short. The weather at home is different than abroad. Noisy thunder broke through the night, followed by flashes throwing their light. The remaining night was very calm. The breeze of Singapore blew through the palm.
Rinne mar a lán obair nar bhí mar déanamh weather stations. An céad rud a thugamar amach as an céad bhí seán í an timpalacht is cum alum.
Our statements will be given in Irish and English. We made 3 videos as part of our Dublin substation. But climate change, we should care, but we don't.
I know I should care about climate change, but I just don't.
I care about getting Wi-Fi.
I care about my hair straightener.
Taylor Swift.
My animals.
My phone. It's the first thing I look at in the morning.
It connects me to my friends.
Connects me to the whole world.
It gives you all the answers to your homework.
I've enough problems dealing with school and teachers.
Uniform's ugly and manky. When it's warm, you'd be dying.
You're never warm.
Exams are way too hyped up.
You get told off for not studying.
Then you get told off for being antisocial.
No talking. I care about getting into college.
Music. Changing your profile photo.
I hate having to keep checking my updates.
I hate people who can't stop checking their updates.
It's like an addiction.
It melts me head. You're expected to keep with absolutely everything that goes on.
You're expected to have money for everything. You're just splashing the cash and all this stuff.
The latest phone.
The latest clothes. Then you get these groups of lads that wear the same shirt.
Money for going out.
Makeup. It can make you feel more confident.
Sometimes it can fix everything.
But then, again, you have the ones, they have the full get up. It's all fake, you know exactly what they're all about.
There's a lot of pressure to get the right look.
And now we're saying climate change means to be less fuel to go around.
I can't deal with that. It's just too big. It's too far out there.
I've got problems here and now. There's experts who'll sort that out.
I just need everyone to just slow down for a bit.
The one thing I really care about is sleep.
Oh, sleep. It's like a great reward at the end of the day.
It's very popular.
Everyone's doing it.
It can wreck your head trying to keep up with everything. Sometimes you need it all to just stop.
Dahab, Egypt, a day at the reef of the Blue Hole. From a fish's perspective. I was woken up by a plastic bag covering the entrance to my crevice that morning. I usually spend the night in this small crack in the reef. A few weeks ago, I was living in a bigger crack further north, but it was destroyed by divers. Many of my friends' houses have been destroyed by air tanks and fins as well. The amount of available crevices is starting to decrease considerably. But back to the plastic bag. Plastic bags in the morning meant one of two things. A strong current carrying the plastic from other parts of the Red Sea towards our reef, or a strong wind on the surface blowing trash from the streets of Dahab into the ocean. Dahab is not the cleanest of cities. It is not as bad as some other places I have heard of, but the presence of trash is ubiquitous wherever you go. Wind plays an important role in the lives of almost everyone here. When it is windy, the fishermen cannot go fishing because the waves are too high for their little boats. Divers cannot access every dive site because the entry is too difficult, and the merchants on the market have to run after their wares. Only the kite surfers on their boats are happy about the wind. We do not get so many of the surfers at my reef, however. They tend to stay closer to their hotels. The Blue Hole, my home, is located about 30 minutes away from Dahab, and it's bordered by the Sinai Mountains on one side and the ocean on the other. It is the world's most dangerous dive site, with several people dying every year. Yet there is a lot of diving and snorkeling activity in this area. I do not mind the divers much, as long as they stay away from the reef and leave nothing but bubbles. As I've already mentioned, the day started out quite windy. You can feel the surge underwater, and many of my plankton-eating friends love this kind of weather. The surge and current carry nutrients closer to the reef, and they have no food. I myself eat corals, but since the corals feed on plankton as well, I am glad for a little bit of wind now and then. The wind also meant more divers coming to the Blue Hole, though. The entry to the reef is protected from the sea and not exposed to the weather, making it one of the few dive sites accessible in these wind conditions. Most of the divers keep their distance to the reef and just pass by. Some divers, however, grate on the corals every time they enter the water. Tech divers that have many tanks attached to their body do the most damage. 3 of my homes have already been destroyed by carelessness of tech divers. At around noon, the sun decided to come out, and the wind settled down a bit. The effects of the windy night were still visible. Plastic bags, empty cans, and carpets were floating in the water. The sun was illuminating the plastic hovering over our reef and trying to bring beauty to the tragedy. Although the light reflecting off the trash has something almost magical to it, I know that in reality, there is nothing magical about plastic. It will most likely kill some of my friends in the next few months. After a short interval of sunshine, the wind picked up again. It was around 3 o'clock, time for the reef checkers. The reef checkers are a group of divers that return to our reef every year and take notes on its health. They will lay down a line and then record everything within a certain distance of that line. The fishes, the substrate, the invertebrates, the amount of coral damage. Apparently, the data they collect helps the humans understand the reefs. They want to know the developments throughout the years and find causes for some of the problems that they find. I don't think you need to search very hard for that answer. The root to all of our problems is mankind. We can deal with thunderstorms, flash floods, and crown of thorn breakouts. What we cannot recover from are divers kicking up sand that lands on the corals and suffocates them, and the plastic, which takes years to decompose. And even then, the plastic does not just magically disappear. It is still present. You just can't see it with the naked eye anymore. My friend the turtle once told me about the giant Pacific garbage patch, an enormous area covered with human trash. Many of her brothers and sisters have died trying to escape that jungle of debris. Nevertheless, I appreciate the Reef Checkers' efforts. It lets us know that at least some humans are taking notice of our situation and want to help us. On this day, they are rewarded by the sight of a young whale shark passing by. It has come into this region to feed on the plankton that the wind of the early morning has stirred up. I watch their excitement at seeing such a rare animal and smile to myself. If only they knew how many rare and unbelievable animals are hiding in the walls of this reef. The rest of the day is uneventful, and I go about my business without much disturbance from divers or snorkelers. My only concern is that undulated moray a few corals down, who is continuously eyeing me in a strange fashion. I return to my crevice, and I know that, despite the plastic, it has been a good day at the reef.
You see, part of the problem that climate change is that we're not talking about it as we should. We're not even talking about it at all.
Hugama Rudaran es an Darish Ganon, Ken Jifaka Yanov Sajan.
What we took from the second film is, why should we care?
We're talking about melting glaciers, rising sea levels, flooded cities, and wars over food and water.
Drought and famine. Millions of people are losing their homes and they're trying to flee somewhere safer.
The oceans are getting more acidic. It's killing all the fish. But what can I do about that? Recycle cardboard. What difference would that make?
Although I suppose I might as well, since I can.
It takes millions of years to make oil, gas and coal, and we're using them like they're going out of fashion.
They are going out of fashion.
I'd be willing to use less stuff if everyone around me would use less stuff. You can plan your shopping, do one trip in the week. Less travel, less packaging, less waste. It's cheaper that way.
You sound like me, man.
You can switch off any lights you're not using.
You sound like my dad.
I spend a bloody fortune just trying to keep up.
I spend a fortune on things I'll use once, and then throw it away. Where's it all go then? Where's the way?
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
I don't have to do this. I don't have to believe what the brands are telling me.
I need my money more than they do.
More expensive doesn't have to mean better.
New doesn't have to mean better.
Why can't we just fix things sometimes instead of buying new ones? Why am I buying junk food? Why am I paying someone to damage my body?
My own food tastes better, and it's cheaper.
I don't have to hop in the car every time I go down to the shop. Make it a trip, not a chore.
Don't be a wuss. Take the bus.
Sometimes it takes longer, but that's time we have to ourselves.
I could turn the heating down at home. Roast chestnuts on an open fire.
Wear more, burn less, for the planet.
Get more dogs!
What if you're a cat person?
Solar, hydro and wind are free and they'll never run out. We're still paying guys to dig up dirty, manky fuel out of the ground. What's the story there?
I could have more time, more exercise, more fresh air, more peace of mind, all by just using less stuff.
Sometimes you just have to stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, and you, my dear ones, I am most annoyed by the attitude of carefree denial. We are on the verge of a climate disaster. We are heading straight to hell. Global warming is a fact. This fact will forever change the life on Earth. But the size of the disaster is up to us. Corporations kill us and make us infertile. They poison our children, get us addicted to their products. Millions of people on Earth will have to leave their homes because of wars over the resources, hurricanes, tornadoes, droughts, and increased water levels. Soon, some of them will knock on your door. They will want to know what you had done to our planet. Meanwhile, Leonardo DiCaprio knocks on Andrzej and Bożena's door. Andrzej and Bożena are your average secondary school teachers.
So what would you do to show people that global warming is a serious problem? And that they need to do something about it now?
I don't know.
Wait a minute, not so fast. What is this all about? What's this whole circus?
It's not a circus. It's about the future of our planet and life on Earth.
Whatever. You may think it is about the future of the planet. For me, it's a regular circus. How often do you think Hollywood stars visit us?
I can only guess, but would rather not.
I help you. Definitely, not often enough to take your word for it. You expect us to take you seriously?
Just because your name is Leonardo DiCaprio?
How can we be even sure of that? Yes, you look like DiCaprio, but we only know you from TV. Everybody knows what TV is like.
TV lies.
I'm not a TV actor. I'm a film actor. I didn't come here as an actor, but as a human being deeply worried about the state of the world.
You want to know something about people who worry about the world? They do nothing all day long, just worry. Everything worries them. They worry about the air, they worry about the water, they worry about the soil, they worry about endangered species. Let me tell you something about endangered species. Okay? Saving them is just another arrogant attempt of man to control nature.
Andrzej!
An arrogant intervention. That's the problem starts. Doesn't anybody understand it? Save the trees, save the peace, save the seals and whales, and the height of arrogance. Save the planet. What, the planet? Do you know how, do you know care? Do you even know how to take care of ourselves? There is nothing wrong going on with the planet. The planet is just fine. It will exist long after we are gone. What if plastic doesn't decompose? The planet, it includes its new formula, Earth plus plastic. Plastic was created of the Earth, and the Earth probably sees plastic as another one of its children. The Earth wanted to have plastic.
Try explaining it to people in India. They spend their lives sorting out your rubbish. Haya, sort out this rubbish and die.
I'm sure the planet will deal with it.
That was the most pathetic excuse I have ever heard. The fact that some species are dying out, it doesn't mean we are having to contribute to their death. The fact that somebody will die doesn't give us the right to kill them. But you know best, of course. Why worry about some worms? But what if that swarms is crucial for our ecosystem? Murder the bees and you might never see flowers.
I never really liked flowers.
Oh, shut up already. I was sent by a group of concerned citizens to care about the future of our planet and life on Earth.
You must be quite unpopular if they sent you to Poland.
Andrzej!
Poland is a beautiful country. The group has been meeting for years. We want to find a way to stop humans bringing destruction upon themselves.
You want to know, and I presume you meet in 5-star hotels and you get there by jets.
In the end, we decided that if we want to save the planet, we need to convince ordinary people, people like you, to change their attitudes.
Our attitudes? What are they?
You said it yourself a moment ago, selfish and short-sighted. You justify everything with a shrug, as if to say that the situation is what it's and it doesn't make sense to do anything. But that's not true. A lot can still be done. The fate of the world is in our hands.
Maybe in your hands.
Now in yours as well.
We haven't agreed to anything yet.
But you will. After all, it's an only chance of success. Your only chance to be in the media and perhaps even to save the planet. Why wouldn't you agree? You want to go on with your boring lives of frustrated teachers?
Excuse me, I like my job.
Yeah. And you wouldn't leave it from the comfortable life and plump you out for saving the planet.
At last, we are getting down to business. So how much are you going to pay us?
If you succeed, enough for you to never have worry about anything.
Sounds like an offer we can't refuse.
I wouldn't have come with anything else.
Is it more at all?
What?
To be paid for doing something that people should be doing on their own accord if they really care about beauty and good.
If somebody wants to pay me for saving the planet, I don't see why I shouldn't accept the money.
You wouldn't do it for free, just to find a way into history textbooks?
I don't know. I would have to prefer think about it.
Andrzej! I apologize, Leo. Tell us what you expect from us.
That's a bit tricky. Nobody really knows that. What I do know, you have been chosen for almost all the residents of the planet because you're perfectly ordinary. We can't save the planet without you.
I knew I should have put more effort into learning English. It will be handy.
Take it easy. First we have the planet, and I don't think that will be easy. So maybe it's good you didn't waste time learning the language of the bacon eaters.
But knowing the language might help me save the planet.
We'll get you translators if need be.
I would prefer it in writing.
What, translation?
I meant to contract. Shouldn't we sign something?
Of course, give me 5 minutes.
How about you write the contract in the kitchen, where I have a few words in private with Andrzej?
He looks like the real Leonardo DiCaprio.
It might be his very good double.
But what do we have to lose?
You really believe in this business? We'll never come up with an idea stop climate change that might. We'll just go through a lot of trouble for nothing.
How do you know? There must be a reason they choose us. Perhaps we have some potential to do something bigger.
But you don't even believe the planet needs saving. It's illogical.
Life is illogical. On one hand, I hate humankind a bit. On the other hand, I am a small part of it. I don't wish to die that much. What do you think?
I don't know. It's all very suspicious. However, I do a lot just to show up in town in the company of Leonardo DiCaprio. I would even try to save the planet if it matters so much to him.
Let's call him back.
Okay.
You need to add your details and sign here and here and here too. Okay, it's getting late. I would like to get some sleep. Do you need anything from the kitchen?
I grab a drink.
So Dara, shot comes the husband.
And now for the end video. This is how we've already begun.
It's not like we're starting from square one here. It's not all on us to kick things off.
These changes started years ago. We're just taking them further. We've been raised on this stuff.
Recycling's like a normal thing now. We do it at home, in our schools, we have recycling bins in our shopping centres.
People don't always use the right bin.
Yeah, but they're gobshites.
We're starting to get composting bins too. Separating that stuff out really makes you think. We're starting to pay more attention to where food comes from.
Primary school kids are learning about basic nutrition, and junk food is being banned in schools.
We're making sustainability a way of life.
We're developing a bike culture in our cities. It's a nice way to get around. You just have to remember not to tuck your trousers into your socks.
We're making technology more efficient. People want it. Now, any business that wants to stay in business is taking note.
We're much more aware of our impact on the environment, and we can remind our politicians of this every election.
We demand clean air, clean water.
But what if it's all for nothing? What if we stop polluting our air and our water?
We start to eat simpler, better food.
If we get out more and get more exercise.
If we stop treating nature as a dumping ground.
Right, so what if we manage to do all that, and in the end, the weather still turns out to be shite?
What I love about Melbourne is it's just such a great city. It's got a real cultural diversity to it. The laneways, the restaurants, there's always something interesting that's going on. I love all our major events. The food culture in Melbourne is all about food, really. We've got a huge cafe culture. Everyone loves to get out and have their coffee and have the beautiful meals that are on offer. There's so many restaurants, so many cafes, so much variation in the sorts of food that you can get as well. So Melbourne's got a real food culture, and I think it's a great way to have a conversation about climate change, the impacts of climate change on food. I grew up in a country area in northwest Victoria on the mighty Murray River. So the Murray-Darling Basin produces over half of the agricultural produce that we actually consume. And what I know about climate change is that it reduces river flows, it reduces rainfall, and that in turn means that we can't irrigate our crops. So climate change is going to have a severe impact on how we can grow our food. It's going to have a severe impact on the health of our river systems. It impacts the sort of crops that you can grow as well. So we've got to be really careful that we do everything we can to slow that rate of climate change.
Climate change is going to affect quite a few of our food commodities, particularly, for example, fruits. Fruits that are grown in southern Australia that require a certain amount of cold in the winter. We call it chilling requirements. And if they don't get a certain number of hours of chilling in winter, then they don't go to fruit. They don't produce the nuts, they don't produce the berries, apples and pears. Dairy production, for example, if you have a heat wave, then dairy cows crash their milk production and they don't produce nearly as much milk. Chocolate and coffee are both produced in very tropical conditions, and the scope for those could actually increase in the future. But you could see extreme events, for example, affecting the crop. So if you have a cyclone, you lose all your coffee production. And the predictions are for more intense cyclones to come through. So you could have an entire crop failure because of extreme heat waves or extreme cyclones. I think the scariest one is the seafoods, because most of the seafoods we eat, either the endoskeleton, so that's the internal skeleton they have, or the shell requires calcium carbonate. And as you acidify the ocean with climate change, they can't actually make that shell anymore. And so there's likely to be quite a dramatic influence on the sea fishery industry.
Look, the impacts of climate change are already being felt. We're having much longer droughts, much hotter heat waves. We're having more extremes of weather. We're getting less rainfall, so our parks and gardens are really suffering. We're having to think about capturing more stormwater so that we can drought-proof our parks and gardens. And really, climate change will affect every aspect of our lives. Well, look, I'd say to someone who doesn't believe in climate change, you've got rocks in your head is in the sand. It's happening, it's been happening for tens of years. We can see the changes right here, right now. We know that global temperatures have increased. We know that we're getting more extreme forms of weather. We know that we're getting longer heat waves. We've got to do something about it. Wake up and do something about it.
Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter.
Polar bears are becoming extinct due to global warming.
It's upsetting, but it's not like I would have seen one anyway.
Rainforests are receding. They're being chopped down and burnt.
It's upsetting, but I still see trees when I look out of my window.
Crop yields, changing crop yields have affected plant and food production.
It's upsetting, but I still have a meal on my table. But let me tell you what will upset me. When my clothes cost a fortune, when I forget what a polar bear looks like, when my child can't breathe, when I can't have a child. But if I have to wait to experience this emotion, well then, it will be too late.
Now, that really does upset me. We sit here in polluted rooms waiting 'cause the sun won't shine, knowing we'll never see the same. We stare into grey skies.
We wait for the water to drown us, soon the clouds won't remember our name. We stay silent about the things that matter, we won't return again. We're just waiting here for the clouds to clear. Stop the silence, move with the tides. Stop the silence, we need to learn to abide. Stop the silence, move with the tides. Stop the silence, can't take all the world provides. We sit here in polluted rooms waiting, politicians promising the world, but what they don't realize is that it's nearly all gone. The ice is melting, but not like our hearts. If only we could go back to the start. We're just waiting here for the clouds to clear. Stop the silence, move with the tides. Stop the silence, we need to learn to abide. Stop the silence, move with the tides. Stop the silence, can't take all the world provides.
We stand here in our bubble with our vast wealth, protecting us from any trouble, wasting what could keep our earth in health.
Why did we not realize sooner? Why do we feel no sorrow? We know how to profit and not how to protect the people of tomorrow.
There's a 19 Cree Indian quote that says, "Only when the last tree has died, and the last river has been poisoned, and the last fish has been caught, will we realize that we cannot eat money." Is this what we've really become? A self-destroying species ruled by the greed of to have and not by the soul of to be? So we are the self-absorbed species, thinking that we are more than all of exists on the planet, forgetting that we are in fact dependent. Wake up! We have to be one planet, one community, have one aim before the destruction we're causing becomes irreversible. We are the roots of a poison tree. Our self-destruction is a toxin. Enough promises have been made and no action has been taken. This is a wake-up call. All we need to say is enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
We may not have the power to start a revolution, but we have the tools to start a conversation. Stop the silence. Take action.
Now I'm going to ask you 2 questions about what you think about climate change as a whole. You are given red and green cards when you came in. When I ask you the questions, please show red if your answer is no, green if it is yes. The first question is, do you now have another perspective or point of view on the topic of climate change? Vote now. Green for yes, red for no. Do you now have another perspective or point of view on the topic of climate change? The second question is, We believe that we have to change our lifestyles. Do you think so too? Vote now. Green for yes, red for no. Thank you for voting. So what will you do now?